Welcome back, YouTube. So I want to welcome all of you to what will be my final video of 2023, and I want to pretty much first just give thanks to everyone that's been with me over the last few years, and all of the new subscribers that have come. There's almost 60,000 of us now, so I'm very grateful for all of you. I want to really just go over kind of what I'm expecting to happen and the outlook for 2024 as well. In this video, we're going to touch on the housing market, stock market, and crypto market, and just kind of because in the macro things, they're all tied together, and crypto is going to take a big step forward in 2024 and 2025 to being tied into the macro. So I think it's very important that we discuss these things going forward. And I want to just cover some of the macro things that's happening as my final video of the year, and also looking forward. I'm going to have some new things coming to the channel as well, so that's going to provide more value for everyone. So I think that we're going to be able to just get maximum value in 2024, and ultimately that can be reflected in our investments and our critical thinking, hopefully. So first of all, I made a post and I was talking about the housing market, and I was saying that if you have a realtor or a real estate expert or real estate guru or whatever telling you to necessarily wait because the interest rates and stuff are going to come down, it's not everyone's financial situation is different, but I want to put something out there for you to consider. If the rates go down, let's say they go down as far as what the market is pricing, and we're having 2 or 3 cuts this upcoming year, that means demand is going to continue or increase on the current houses that are on the market. We all know that we get like an influx of inventory in the springtime. All the developers and stuff, they do a lot of deals in spring. Nobody really moves around Christmas, December unless they have to. So we know that we're going to have an increase in inventory in the spring, but ultimately that demand is going to be increased if we have the rates come down, because lots of times people are looking to have comparable rates to around 2 to 3%, even though those are historic lows. But that is, if we get something like 4 or 5%, you're probably going to see some people come into the market saying, okay, well, this is as good as it's going to get, because I don't believe that the people who have like 2 or 3% rates are going to swap their rates out, even if it does go down to 5%. But in that case, if we have the increase in inventory, if you're looking at simply supply and demand, that means home prices will continue to rise, because theoretically, if we were to say there was going to be this big crash, we would have had to see some type of inkling of this crash is coming before we get into the position that we're in right now, right, which is the rate cuts. So technically speaking, we should have had a decrease in prices somewhere, I'll say either this year or last year. We should have seen a significant decrease in prices, but because of the amount of people who had the historic lows or who owned their homes, the prices pretty much remained flat. We did not get that huge walk off of a cliff that a lot of people were expecting. And so this puts people in a very, I think we're going to, just to kind of segue here, I think we're going to probably get some type of first time homeowner grant or something like that, because we have to, the housing market, if we do reach a point where if people are not buying enough homes, then eventually, of course, yes, we will get a crash. But typically when this happens, you'll see programs come out, and there's a first-time homeowner grant. I mean, they'll pump that up, and it's how you get things like ninja loans and stuff like it's our economy is tied to the housing market. We have to go in debt, so they'll do something to get the people in homes. But that's why you see the places like Rocket Mortgage now are giving 1% down mortgages is to try and get people in the homes, because no one is trying to take on 8% at $500,000. So if you factor that in, we're going to ultimately see rates come down and housing prices either maintain or more than likely continue to go up. And the thing about that post is it makes you, it can still price you out, because you're looking at the interest rate and saying, okay, I don't want to buy a $500,000 home at 8% interest. And then if you have the demand go up and say, okay, well, it's the interest rate is now 5%, I'm ready to buy, but that $500,000 home is now 650, 700,000. You may not even qualify for the loan on that side, because there's two aspects to qualifying for the loan. And I think that when you see a lot of these articles, people are talking about, oh, don't buy the home because of the interest rate. The overall loan balance matters as well. So that post, that's all that really was just saying, look at both sides of the coin. It's not necessarily saying that just because rates are going to come down, housing prices are going to come down too. Those two typically work in opposite of each other, right? So you can't expect the rates to go down and then the housing prices to come down. So it's those two typically are on opposite sides of the scale. So just kind of keep that in mind. Stock market, it's pricing in the rate cuts now. Obviously, if we do get the rate cuts, then more than likely we're going to see the printer come on sometime. Probably 2025 will start. You'll see the printer come on, and of course it'll just be to the heavens from there, and that'll certainly be like the official bull market there. Right now, you have the market pricing in a lot of what is expected to happen. That's typically what happens when it comes to the stock market. You'll see it's not necessarily pricing in what's happening today. It's anticipating what's going to happen in the future. So you'll see the market kind of start pricing in the rate cuts and the bullishness of next year. And also you have to kind of keep in mind next year is an election year, and it is very bad to get reelected if the stock market is going to hell. So when you start seeing like S&P's up 25% for the year, that looks very good for Biden. And you best believe they're going to do everything in their power to continue that trend next year so that he has the highest probability of getting reelected. If the stock market is going through the floor, people typically is going to take that out on leadership, and it's very bad for sitting presidents to get reelected if it's going through the floor. So best believe that stock market, even if historically, it typically does well during election year. It's just one less thing to have to worry about. Ultimately, the prices that we've seen over the last couple of years have been absolutely amazing. If you are considering getting into the market, if you have been waiting, saying, okay, I wanted to get like a good deal on the market, and I didn't want to just buy into the market, I want to do like a lump sum. If you're waiting and to get until deep into election year, you're probably, I believe we've already bottomed. We probably bottomed around this time last year. We kind of went sideways a lot this year for most of the time frame on the year to date, but I think as far as for the bottom prices, we probably already bottomed outside of something dramatic happening. I don't see us revisiting those lows, but compared to where this bull cycle is going to end, if you're measuring from cycle to cycle, even right now, I'm not trying to time the market, but even right now is obviously a great time. You don't want to necessarily buy green candles, but investing, waiting for a crash or trying to time it, you're ultimately going to end up missing out on gains, especially if you're buying something like the S&P, the Magnificent Seven. These large companies you see up here on the screen: Microsoft, Apple, Meta, Google, Amazon, the Teslas, all that kind of stuff. They're propping up the stock market. If you remove those 7 companies from the stock market over the last couple of years, you'll see that we're actually in a recession the entire time. So, in my opinion, it's best to do not wait to get into those companies. When it comes to crypto, I think that we're going to see an ETF at some point. This is something we've been talking about. JP Morgan, BlackRock, they've all positioned themselves for this to happen. They have the connections, and whether or not it gets denied in January is really insignificant in the grand scheme. It'll go through at some point, and we're going to have a large influx of money coming into the market, and this is going to be averaged into portfolios. And this is done, in my opinion, primarily because they can't have crypto outperform the stock markets that dramatically without having exposure to it. Otherwise, people will start to leave the stock market to go into crypto just because of the amount of gains that's coming in. So they have to have exposure to that market and at least control it to try and calm it down. This is what I believe happened with gold. When we came off of the gold standard, they started doing gold ETFs and little fractionals and selling paper basically instead of the actual gold. So we don't know actually how much gold they actually have. And, for all we know, they're selling 10 notes per 1 ounce, and they're able to kind of control the price. And so now they have, there's nothing competing with their assets. And I think we're going to see something similar to in crypto as well with Bitcoin. We're going to see a huge spike in the price of Bitcoin, and they'll probably have controlling interest in the actual coin itself. And then it'll kind of just coincide with it'll pretty much link up and start mirroring the exact cycles what we see in the stock market. It'll pretty much all be on one time frame. You know how you have 10 different assets, and if you're looking at a chart comparing the entire stock market, they all dip at the same time, they all rise at the same time. It's like the ability to just copy and paste. You'll start to see crypto kind of align a lot more once these companies have controlling interest of the coins. So it's going to keep that in mind, but I do believe that we're going to see a substantial increase in money. I think by the end of the next cycle, we'll probably be around 10 trillion in market cap for the total crypto market. And that's a little more than 100% from where we peaked at the last bull run. So I think that's coming for not necessarily 2024, but for the end of the next cycle, whenever that may be. I think that's my total cash allotment that I think is going to come into the market. So ultimately, 2024 is going to be really bright. I believe this next bull run is going to shock a lot of people, especially crypto. We have a lot of retailers in. Just don't get shiny object syndrome, where you're going to have a lot of scams and hype and BS coming out. Just kind of keep in mind that outside of opportunity in the market, there's a lot of opportunists in the market, and they're going to do and say whatever they can to get ahead, versus actually doing the work and taking the time to actually develop skills. And if they can use you as liquidity, they will. And that goes for big companies as well, hedge funds, everything. No, they all do it. So just going to keep that in mind. Education, patience is all going to weigh out more. It's going to turn out to be more valuable than luck and getting into a coin that's a fraction of a penny and then mooning it, right? Just keep in mind the developers typically have 50% of the float. They're going to dump at some point and run off with the money. We're going to see a lot of the scams that we've seen. Never forget that all of the brokerages that went bankrupt in the last bull run in crypto. Don't forget, the Fed said that there was no inflation first, and they said inflation was transitory. They said inflation was good. They said that Putin did it. Never forget, don't get caught up in the hype. All these companies are going to do what's best for them until it suits them, really, because you have evidence of, like with inflation, you'll have evidence of the inflation inside of the markets, and they will take their sweet time to address it while you're getting killed on your financials and with your paychecks. You'll have these companies go bankrupt and take your crypto and use your liquidity as negotiating power in bankruptcy court. So don't forget these things just because the market is going green. Keep in mind those things and move with caution. Educate yourselves. Most of you have been through a full couple of cycles now, so you have an idea of how things are going. So just don't get so greedy that you turn a blind eye to what happened last time and people literally attempting to take your money from you. So those are my thoughts for 2024, kind of like my warnings as well. Let me know your thoughts and preparations in the chat. And I will see you guys with some updates very soon for the channel. I appreciate all of you guys for sticking with me this year. I am very excited for the new year, and I wish all of you much financial success and success in your personal lives as well. So I appreciate all of you. Oh, and one more thing before I go. We are 56 subscribers away from closing the year with 60,000 subscribers. So if you know someone that can find value from this channel or who appreciates No Fluff, please share with them so that we can close the year out with 60,000. I think that'll be really amazing if we can finish the year with 60,000 subs. So if you know someone, please share the channel with them, and hopefully we can hit that 60K mark before midnight. So with that being said, I appreciate all of you. Thank you. And I will see you guys in the next video.